Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Legal Leek series, where I give some of my insights about working in the legal industry. If you're a student, if you're a parent, if you're someone who's interested about what it's like working in law, then please take this opportunity to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I want to answer some academic questions. So the first question that I want to ask for the purposes of this video is, how important are my grades in law? So to give a little bit of background, I did French, classical civilization, philosophy, and English literature. I dropped English literature as much as I loved it, and I probably should have kept it. I loved French way too much. So I ended up doing that. Unfortunately, I didn't get the grades that I wanted to, which was really heartbreaking because I put so much work into it. However, I was later on, when I started my degree, diagnosed with dyslexia, which helped so much because it meant that I was able to get the help that I needed. And I'm now graduating with a first-class honors law degree in legal skills and practice. So there's two ways to answer this question based on obviously my experience and a lot of conversations that I've had with different people, different levels, senior, etc. First of all, your grades are important. I'm not going to deny it. There are some law firms that I see even now who, and when I say even now, I mean like at my stage. So I'm currently a level 7 degree apprentice. I will be finishing my apprenticeship, I think, later this year or early next year. And to be honest with you, especially for degree apprenticeships, obviously for university, also, to be honest, some applications for training contracts and vacation schemes, I have noticed that some firms do put, a requirement for you to tell them what your GCSEs, to be honest, and your A-level results were. They most of the time have a space for extenuating circumstances. So if something had happened which meant that you didn't get the grades that you want, then you're usually able to explain those things. I am very grateful that I ended up in a firm who was actually willing to hear what happened to me. And to be honest with you, with all the other applications I made for my degree apprenticeship, I actually didn't really know what was going on until I knew. So in one way, your grades are important because these are things that firms do look at, especially if you're thinking about going to more magic circle, silver circle firms. And then I do think that there is a possibility, a very real possibility, to be honest with you, that even if you don't graduate with a first-class law degree, or if some people graduate with a 2-2. It happens. There are so many things that can happen at any stage in life. Or if you don't get the A-level results that you were expecting to get. There are other ways, and something that I've obviously had to learn just because I didn't have the best A-level results. Over time, your experience definitely starts to outweigh your grades. So it's easier to get into law, in my opinion. Again, this is just my thoughts and my understanding of the industry and how it's worked so far for me, is that after a while, if your grades are not A star or triple, well, now it's going to be if you don't get all 9s or all 8s or all 7s, if you are able to get that work experience, it's easier to kind of show that, okay, in this set of academics, things just didn't work out, but I'm obviously a really good worker. Here's my, portfolio of work, or here's all of the things I've done. I've worked on all these cases. I've supported team members. You know what I mean? So I think if you don't get the best grades, trust me, you can definitely find a way to overcome that hurdle. Not getting the grades you want isn't the end of the world if you want to get into law. But I will also say that naturally, you're just not an academic person. And when I say that, I mean there is a ton of reading in law, especially if you're thinking about university. There is it's a lot. And I know a lot of people say that there's a lot of reading in law, but let me tell you, there's a lot more than you think there is. And then honestly, even just thinking about SQE1 and SQE2, there's a lot of reading. So I think if the reading thing isn't something that works for you, and this is coming from someone who has dyslexia, I have things that read things out to me as well to help to not overload myself. and I just passed SQE1, so it's definitely possible. I'm just saying that definitely take a look at all your options. And I also want to say, like, even if you don't get the grades that you want, please don't feel like you are never gonna be really good in law. Like, sometimes things just happen the way that they do, and it doesn't necessarily mean redirection. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I think having really high grades does make it easier to get into law, certainly. I also really want to stress that grades are not enough. And I'm not saying that you need to have tons of work experience, but your character, how you work with other people, how you show up for work, the quality of work that you produce will speak volumes. Like, it is really frustrating, I think, especially when I was trying to get into law. It's so frustrating to hear or to know that, you know, grades aren't enough, but yet you're expected to get these really high grades. It kind of feels like a circular loop sometimes. And I've also noticed that entry-level roles in the legal profession are becoming like extremely difficult to get, but it's just because there's so many people who want to get into law. So the answer to the question is, in essence, if you have really high grades, it is easier to get into law. You can really go down that streamlined traditional route. On the other hand, if you don't have top tier grades, your work experience will inevitably at some point outweigh your academics. And in any event, whether you have like super high grades or not super high grades, at the end of the day, grades are not enough. You will also need to like be a good team worker as well, and there are several other qualities, but it's more than just grades. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.